The parking lot was empty except for his car and that stupid banner, Class of 2005 to 20-year reunion. Marcus Webb sat in his 12-year-old Honda and seriously considered leaving. This was a mistake. His ex-wife was in there. Vanessa, who'd left him because teaching didn't pay enough. Who'd married a tech entrepreneur 3 months after their divorce. Who lived in a house with 6 bedrooms while Marcus struggled to afford a 2-bedroom apartment. He looked at himself in the rearview mirror. Target blazer from 4 years ago. Jeans because he couldn't afford dress pants. Shoes with a hole he'd covered with cardboard. He was 37 years old. A middle school English teacher. Raising triplet daughters on a salary that barely covered rent. And his ex-wife was in there living her best life. This was definitely a mistake. But Grace's voice echoed in his head from that afternoon. Daddy, you have to go. You can't skip your reunion. Faith had bounced up and down. Yeah, you went to school there forever ago. You have to see your old friends. And Hope had looked at him with those big hazel eyes, 8 years old, and already worried about him. Maybe you'll meet someone nice. Someone who will be kind to us. You deserve that, Daddy. He knelt down, hugged all 3 of them. His blonde, curly-haired miracles. I already have 3 beautiful girls, he'd said. The most beautiful girls in the world. I don't need anyone else. But Grace had put her small hand on his cheek. You look sad sometimes, Daddy. When you think we're not watching. We want you to be happy. His 8-year-old daughter had noticed. Had been worrying about him. Marcus took a deep breath. Got out of the car. Walked toward the gym. The door opened. Music spilled out. Laughter. The sound of successful people living successful lives. He walked in. Marcus? Marcus Webb? He turned. Tom Sterling. Former quarterback. Expensive watch. Tailored suit that probably cost more than Marcus's monthly salary. Tom. Good to see you, man. Dude, it's been forever. Tom's smile was big. Genuine. What are you up to these days? I teach middle school English. Over at Roosevelt. Oh. Tom's smile faltered. Just for a second. That's really noble, man. Teaching is important work. The words were kind. The tone said everything. Poor Marcus. Still teaching. Still struggling. I'm in tech now. Tom continued. Just sold my 3rd startup. 8 figures. Congratulations, Marcus said, meaning it despite the sting. That's really impressive. Thanks, man. You married? Kids? Divorced. 3 daughters. Triplets, actually. They're 8. Triplets? Tom's face showed genuine surprise. Jesus, Marcus. How do you even manage that on a teacher's salary? The question hit like a punch to the gut. Before Marcus could answer, he heard it. That voice. The voice that had once promised forever. That had said I love you 1,000 times. That had walked away without looking back. Marcus? Oh my God, Marcus Webb? He turned slowly. Vanessa. His ex-wife. She looked like she'd stepped out of a magazine. Dark hair styled perfectly. Designer dress in deep burgundy. Diamonds at her throat and wrists. Makeup professionally done. She radiated wealth. Success. Superiority. Next to her stood a man in an expensive suit. Older, distinguished. The quiet confidence of someone who never worried about money. Richard Chen. The tech entrepreneur. The man Vanessa had left him for. Vanessa, Marcus managed. She kissed his cheek. Expensive perfume overwhelming. You look exactly the same. Still teaching at Roosevelt? Yes. How sweet. Her smile was sharp. Calculated. Still in that little apartment in Riverside? People were starting to notice. Starting to listen. Marcus felt heat creep up his neck. Yes. And the girls, Grace, Faith, and Hope, right? She said their names like she was trying to remember strangers. Like she hadn't given birth to them. They must be what, 8 now? They're 8. They're wonderful. I'm sure they are. Her tone suggested she doubted it. This is my husband, Richard. Richard Chen. Perhaps you've heard of him? Chen Technologies. Everyone in the tech world had heard of Chen Technologies. Richard smiled politely. Shook Marcus's hand. Nice to meet you, Marcus. Vanessa's told me about you. You're the teacher, right? The way he said teacher made it sound like a hobby, not a career. I am. That's admirable, Richard said, his voice dripping with condescension wrapped in politeness. Not everyone has the patience for that kind of work. How do you manage? Vanessa asked, her voice carrying. More people listening now. With 3 daughters on a teacher's salary? I can't even imagine. Marcus's jaw tightened. I manage. Still driving that old Honda? The one that was falling apart when we were married? Yes. How many miles does it have now? 200,000? More. She was doing this on purpose, deliberately humiliating him in front of everyone. And you're raising the girls in that 2-bedroom apartment? Vanessa continued, her eyes glittering. How do 3 growing girls share 1 bedroom? That must be so cramped. Marcus felt every eye in the room on him. The weight of his choices. His failures. His inability to provide more. They're happy, he said, voice rough. They have everything they need. Everything they need, Vanessa repeated, making it clear she disagreed. But not everything they deserve, surely. I mean, Richard and I have a 6-bedroom house with a pool. A game room. Those girls could have had so much more if... She stopped herself. But the implication hung in the air. If Marcus had been more successful. If he'd made more money. If he'd been enough. Marcus opened his mouth. Had no idea what to say. How to defend a life he wasn't ashamed of but suddenly felt crushingly inadequate about. How to explain that he worked 60-hour weeks and still struggled. That he hadn't bought himself new clothes in 3 years. That he'd cried last week when the car broke down because he didn't know how he'd fix it. Then a voice cut through the humiliation. Warm. Confident. Saving him. Marcus, there you are. I've been looking everywhere for you. A woman appeared at his side. Beautiful. Elegant. Moving with confidence that seemed innate. She wore a dress that was clearly expensive but not showy. Dark hair styled simply but perfectly. She moved like someone completely comfortable in her own skin. And she slipped her arm through Marcus's naturally. Like she belonged there. Like she'd done it 1,000 times. Sorry I'm late, she said, smile bright. The board meeting ran over. You know how it is. Marcus stared at her, completely confused. He knew this face. Elena Santos. They'd gone to high school together. But they'd barely spoken. Different social circles. She'd been popular, student council, destined for success. He'd been the scholarship kid who worked weekends at the grocery store. Why was she? Elena Santos, the woman said, extending her hand to Vanessa with perfect poise. You must be Vanessa. Marcus has told me so much about you. Vanessa's smile froze. The Elena Santos? Santos Events? That's me. Elena's voice was pleasant. Professional. I'm sorry, have we met? No, but I know your work. You planned the governor's inauguration last year. And the tech summit Richard attended. Your company is legendary. Vanessa's eyes narrowed, trying to process this. Thank you? That's kind. Elena turned to Marcus, her hand warm on his arm. Marcus has told me about you. How you met in college. The early years. How difficult the separation was. Marcus stood frozen, trying to understand what was happening. You and Marcus are. Vanessa's voice had an edge now. Together? 6 months now, Elena said smoothly. It's been wonderful. And Grace, Faith, and Hope are absolutely remarkable. He's done such an incredible job raising them. You've met his daughters? Vanessa couldn't hide her surprise. Of course. We're together. Elena paused, looked at Vanessa directly. They're smart, kind, creative. Marcus has done an amazing job. She let that statement hang in the air. You must be so proud, she added. The words were simple, but they highlighted what everyone in the room suddenly realized. Vanessa couldn't claim pride in children she'd abandoned. I'm sure Marcus is doing his best, Vanessa said tightly. He makes it look effortless, Elena replied. Though of course I help where I can. The girls needed new bikes last month. Grace wants piano lessons. Faith is interested in art classes. Hope loves gymnastics. Marcus's eyes widened. This wasn't real. This was performance. But Elena was delivering it flawlessly. How generous of you, Vanessa said, smile sharp. To help with someone else's children. They're Marcus's children, Elena corrected gently. Which means they're important to me. When you love someone, you love all of them, including their family. Richardson stepped forward, interest in his eyes. Santos Events? I've been trying to book you for our annual gala for 3 years. Your waiting list is legendary. It's been busy, Elena agreed. But rewarding. Building something from nothing, that's satisfying work. I imagine teaching is similar, Richard said, looking at Marcus differently now. Building young minds? That's valuable work. The comment seemed genuine this time. It is, Marcus managed. We should get drinks, Elena said, steering Marcus away. Lovely to meet you both. She guided him through the crowd to a quiet corner. Marcus could barely breathe. What just happened? You were being humiliated, Elena said, her voice firm but kind. I stopped it. By lying? By pretending to be my girlfriend? By giving me. He gestured helplessly. By giving me armor? Yes. But why? We barely know each other. Elena met his eyes. Held his gaze. Do you remember 11th grade AP English? When we read Romeo and Juliet? Marcus blinked at the subject change. Yeah? You wrote a paper about how the real tragedy wasn't their deaths. It was that they were brave enough to love, but the world wasn't brave enough to let them. She paused. Mrs. Henderson cried when she read it aloud. I remember that paper, Marcus said slowly. But I don't remember you being in that class. I sat 3 rows behind you. Elena smiled. And I thought that paper was the most beautiful thing I'd ever heard. I had a crush on you for all of junior year. Marcus stared. You had a crush on me? Elena Santos had a crush on me? I was too scared to talk to you. We were from different worlds. She looked at him directly now. But I'm not scared anymore. Let me help. Let me be your friend. Her voice was quiet. Honest. Let me make sure that woman doesn't tear you down anymore. Marcus felt something crack open in his chest. Something that had been closed for 5 years. Why would you do this? Because 18 years ago, I should have been brave enough to talk to you. Because you deserve someone in your corner. Elena paused. And because I'd really like to meet your daughters. If you'd let me. Marcus looked at this woman who'd just lied for him. Who'd defended him. Who'd remembered a paper from high school. Okay, he said quietly. Okay. 5 years earlier, Marcus had sat in a lawyer's office, watching his marriage end. My client is requesting full custody, Vanessa's lawyer said. Mrs. Webb believes the children would be better served in her care. Marcus looked at Vanessa. The woman he'd loved since college. Who he'd married in a small ceremony. Who he'd built a life with. You want custody? His voice was hollow. Vanessa looked away. 3 weeks later she called. 11 p.m. Marcus was grading papers. I can't do this, Marcus. 3 kids. It's too much. You keep them. Vanessa, they're your daughters. I'm done. My lawyer will send papers. You can have full custody. I'm not paying child support. I'm not doing visitation. I'm out. You're walking away from your children? I'm choosing a different life. Her voice was cold. Richard has offered me something better. And I'm taking it. They're 3 years old, Vanessa. They need their mother. They need someone who wants to be a mother. That's not me. It never was. The divorce was quick. Vanessa gave up all parental rights. Signed papers. Walked away. Married Richard Chin 3 months later. Marcus was left alone. 3 3-year-old daughters. No idea how to manage. The first year was brutal. Daycare costs ate most of his salary. He worked summer school for extra money. Sold everything valuable. Learned to cook cheap meals that would stretch for days. He learned to braid hair from YouTube at midnight. Figured out how to negotiate 3 different breakfast opinions. Became an expert at finding free activities. He watched other parents at drop-off. 2 parents. 2 incomes. Sharing responsibility. He felt the weight of doing it all alone. But he discovered something. He was good at this. Being a father. The girls were happy. Healthy. Thriving. They didn't care about the small apartment. They cared that Daddy read stories every night. That he came to every school event. That he knew their favorite foods and fears and dreams. By year 4, Marcus had found a rhythm. Poor but stable. Struggling but managing. Until Grace asked 6 months ago, "Daddy, why don't we have a mommy?" He knelt down. "You did have a mommy. But she decided she needed to live a different life. Other kids have mommies and daddies. We only have you. Is that not enough?" Grace had thrown her arms around him. "You're the best daddy in the world. But sometimes I wish you had someone to help you. You look so tired." She'd been watching him struggle. Noticing his exhaustion. Worrying about him. Maybe it was time to try. Not for himself. But for them. 18 years earlier, Elena Santos had watched Marcus Webb read poetry across the cafeteria, and her heart had done something complicated. He was the scholarship kid. Worked at the grocery store on weekends. Wore the same jeans all year. Carried books in a backpack held together with safety pins. He was also kind. Brilliant. The only person who actually understood Shakespeare. Elena had been popular. Student council. Prom committee. Destined for success. But she noticed Marcus. Wanted to know him. They existed in different worlds. After graduation, Elena went to business school. Started her own event planning company at 24. Worked 80-hour weeks building something from nothing. By 32, she was successful. Wealthy. But no family. She dated. Successful men. Good on paper. None of them made her feel what she'd felt watching Marcus read poetry in 11th grade. When the reunion invitation came, Elena almost skipped it. But something made her say yes. And when she walked in and saw Marcus, older, worn, but still with those kind eyes, being humiliated by his ex-wife, Elena made a split-second decision. She walked over. Slipped her arm through his. Pretended. Because 18 years ago, she'd been too scared to talk to him. She wasn't making that mistake again. The coffee shop was crowded on Sunday afternoon. Marcus sat at a corner table with 3 blonde, curly-haired girls who couldn't sit still. "Is she pretty?" Grace asked for the 3rd time. "Very pretty," Marcus said. "Is she nice?" Faith wanted to know. "She seems nice. But you 3 will decide that. We want you to have a friend," Hope said seriously. "You need friends, Daddy." The door opened. Elena walked in. Jeans and a sweater. Hair in a ponytail. Approachable. Beautiful. "Hi," she said, sliding into the booth. "You must be Grace, Faith, and Hope. I've heard so much about you." 3 pairs of hazel eyes studied her carefully. "You're the lady from Daddy's reunion," Grace said. I'm Elena. It's very nice to meet you." "You're very pretty," Faith observed. "Thank you. You're all very pretty too." "We're identical," Hope explained. "But Daddy can always tell us apart." "Can you tell us apart?" Grace challenged. Elena studied them thoughtfully. "Not yet. But I'd like to learn. Will you teach me?" Marcus watched his daughters relax. Elena wasn't talking down to them. Wasn't treating them like accessories. Was treating them like real people. I have a scar. Grace pointed to her eyebrow. From when I fell off the swing. I have a freckle right here. Faith showed her neck. I have a dimple that only shows when I smile really big. Hope demonstrated. Those are excellent ways to tell you apart, Elena said seriously. I'll remember. They ordered hot chocolate and coffee. The conversation flowed naturally. Elena asked about school, favorite subjects, what they wanted to be when they grew up. I want to be a teacher like Daddy, Grace said. I want to be a vet, Faith announced. I want to be a princess, Hope said. Or maybe a scientist. I haven't decided. You could be a princess scientist, Elena said. That's allowed. Hope's face lit up. Really? Absolutely. You can be anything you want. After an hour, Marcus walked Elena to her car. The girls waited at the table, visible through the window. They're wonderful, Elena said. Really, Marcus. You've done an incredible job. Thank you. They liked you. I liked them too. Elena hesitated. Can I ask you something? Sure. Is this real? What we're doing? Or are we just pretending? Marcus was quiet for a moment. I don't know. I haven't thought about dating in 5 years. Haven't had time. Haven't wanted to bring someone into their lives who might leave. I understand that. But I liked talking to you this week. I liked watching you with my daughters. He paused. Maybe I'd like to see where this goes. If you're interested. Elena smiled. I'm very interested. Over the next 3 months, Elena became part of their lives. Naturally. Easily. She came to soccer games. Brought snacks for the team. Cheered louder than anyone. She helped with homework when Marcus had evening parent conferences. Made fractions fun with baking demonstrations. She showed up with groceries when Marcus's paycheck didn't stretch. Never made it feel like charity. Just I was at the store and thought you might need things. You don't have to do this, Marcus said one evening. They were on his worn couch, drinking cheap wine. The girls asleep. I know I don't have to, Elena said. I want to. I don't want to be a charity case. You're not. Elena took his hand. You're someone I care about. Let me help. You could date anyone. Rich men. Successful men. Why me? Because you're the kindest person I know. Because you raised 3 daughters with such love. Because you wrote a paper about love 18 years ago that I've never forgotten. She squeezed his hand. That's why I'm here. Because of a high school paper? I'm here because that paper showed me who you were. And I wanted to know that person. Elena's voice was firm. And now that I do, I'm here because I'm falling in love with you. Marcus's breath caught. Elena, you don't have to. I know I don't have to say it. I know this is complicated. I know you're scared. Her voice was steady. But I needed you to know. I'm not here out of pity. I'm here because I love you. And I love them. Marcus looked at this woman who'd saved him at a reunion. Who'd shown up for his daughters. Who'd become essential. I'm scared, he admitted. Terrified of screwing this up. Of you realizing what being with me really means. The struggle. The stress. Marcus, Elena's voice was firm. I am with you. I see what your life is like. And I'm not leaving. Stop waiting for me to leave. Vanessa left. I'm not Vanessa. How do I know that? Because I'm here. Because I keep showing up. Because when I look at your life, your daughters, your teaching, your apartment, I don't see poverty. I see richness. I see love and family and everything that matters. Marcus felt tears slip down his face. I'm falling in love with you too. I'm so scared. But I'm falling. Elena kissed him. Soft. Certain. Full of promise. From the hallway came 3 familiar voices. They're kissing. Does this mean Elena's our girlfriend now too? Marcus and Elena pulled apart, laughing. Were you three supposed to be asleep? Marcus called. We were thirsty, they chorused. Elena opened her arms. Come here. Three girls rushed over, climbed onto the couch, piled onto both adults. Does this mean you're staying? Grace asked Elena seriously. If your dad and you three want me to, yes. I'd very much like to stay. Forever? Hope asked. Let's start with right now, Elena said gently, and see where it goes. Is that okay? Three blonde heads nodded enthusiastically. Marcus looked at his daughters, at Elena, at this family forming from wreckage. Maybe it was okay to hope, to trust, to let someone in. 6 months after the reunion, Marcus's phone rang. Vanessa. His stomach dropped. He almost didn't answer. But what if something had happened? Hello? Marcus. It's Vanessa. I know. Silence. Then, I've been thinking about the girls. I made a mistake. I want to see them. I want to be part of their lives. I'm their mother. I have rights. Marcus's hand tightened on the phone. You gave up your rights. You signed papers. I was in a bad place. I've been in therapy. Her voice was practiced, rehearsed. I've worked through things. Those girls deserve to know their mother. They have everything they need. Do they? Vanessa's voice turned sharp. Living in poverty with a single father? I saw how you were dressed at the reunion, Marcus. I can give them more. Richard and I have resources. Private schools. Opportunities. You abandoned them 5 years ago. I'm their biological mother. I have legal standing. My lawyer says I can petition for partial custody. Panic rose in Marcus's chest. You don't want them. You want to hurt me. I want what's best for them, Vanessa said coldly. Figure it out, Marcus. My lawyer will contact you. She hung up. Marcus stood in his kitchen. Heart pounding. World ending. Elena found him an hour later, staring at nothing. Marcus, what's wrong? He told her. Everything. She can't do this, Marcus said, voice breaking. She walked away. She can't just come back. She can try, Elena said carefully. But Marcus, you're their father. You've raised them. Courts favor stability. I can't afford a lawyer. I can barely afford rent. How am I supposed to fight someone married to a billionaire? You're not fighting alone. Elena grabbed his hands. I'll help. I'll pay for the lawyer. I'll testify. I'll do whatever it takes. Elena, I can't ask you. You're not asking. I'm insisting. Her voice was fierce. Those girls are part of my life now too. I'm not letting anyone take them from you. From us. 2 weeks later, Marcus sat in a lawyer's office, across from Vanessa and Richard Chen. The mediator explained the situation. Vanessa petitioning for partial custody, starting with supervised visits. My client has undergone extensive therapy, Vanessa's lawyer said. She's addressed her issues. She's financially stable. She has a suitable home. She's ready to be a mother. Your client abandoned 3-year-olds, Marcus's lawyer countered. She signed away all parental rights. She hasn't contacted these children in 5 years. She doesn't know their favorite foods, their teachers' names, what grade they're in. She wants to change that. The mediator looked at Marcus. Mr. Webb, do the girls know their mother requested contact? No. I didn't want to upset them. It's very serious, Vanessa's lawyer said. My client is prepared to pursue full legal channels. Marcus felt sick. You don't want them, he said to Vanessa. You want to win. Vanessa's expression flickered. That's not. Yes, it is. Marcus's voice was rough. You saw me at the reunion. Saw me with Elena. Saw that I was okay without you. And you couldn't stand it. I saw you raising my daughters in poverty. Our daughters. And they're happy. They don't care about fancy clothes or expensive cars. They care about being loved. About someone who shows up every single day. I can show up now. For how long? Until it gets hard? Until they need something you're not willing to give? Marcus leaned forward. You walked away once. What's to stop you from walking away again? Vanessa was quiet. Write them letters, Marcus said. Send birthday cards. Build a relationship slowly. Let them decide if they want to know you. Don't force this through courts. I deserve to be their mother. You had that chance. You chose Richard's money over your children. The mediation ended with no resolution. Vanessa's lawyer promised to file formal custody petitions. Marcus drove home feeling defeated. But when he walked into his apartment, Elena was there with the girls. Making cookies. The kitchen a disaster of flour and chocolate chips. Daddy! 3 voices shouted. We're making cookies for you. Marcus looked at his daughters. Flour-covered faces. At Elena helping them. He thought about Vanessa. Her designer clothes. Her 6-bedroom house. All that money. Then he looked at this. His messy kitchen. His second-hand furniture. The laughter that filled his small apartment. I love you 3 more than anything, he said, pulling his daughters into a hug. We know, Daddy, Grace said. You tell us every day. The custody hearing was 8 weeks later. Marcus prepared obsessively. Documented every school event. Every doctor's appointment. Years of proof. Vanessa's lawyer painted poverty and struggle. A single father overwhelmed. Children who deserved more. Marcus's lawyer countered with teachers' testimonies. School records showing happy, well-adjusted children. Neighbors who talked about Marcus's devotion. Then Elena took the stand. Miss Santos, how long have you known Marcus Webb? We went to high school together. We reconnected 9 months ago. We've been in a relationship since then. Tell us about Marcus as a father. Elena looked at Marcus. Then at the judge. Marcus is the most devoted parent I've ever seen. He wakes up at 5 a.m. to pack 3 lunches because each daughter likes different things. He learned to braid hair from YouTube. He works 50-hour weeks and never misses a school event. She paused. He's not wealthy. But he's rich in every way that matters. And the girls? How do they seem to you? Happy. Thriving. Confident and kind and secure. They know they're loved. That's what matters. Objection, Vanessa's lawyer said. Miss Santos has only known these children 9 months. She's not qualified. I'm qualified to see love, Elena interrupted. I'm qualified to see a family. And that's what I see when I look at Marcus and his daughters. The judge called for recess. When they returned, he addressed both parties. I've reviewed all the evidence. Testimonies. Records. He looked at Vanessa. Mrs. Chen, I appreciate that you've undergone therapy. That you're stable now. But you voluntarily terminated your parental rights. You haven't contacted these children in 5 years. Your Honor, I'm not finished. Mr. Webb has been their sole parent for 5 years. The girls are thriving. They're happy, healthy, well-adjusted. There's no evidence their current situation is harmful. Marcus held his breath. I'm denying the petition for custody. Mrs. Chen, if you want a relationship with these girls, I suggest you start slowly. With letters. But I will not force a relationship. Mr. Webb remains the sole custodial parent. Marcus felt his legs go weak. Elena grabbed his hand. They'd won. Outside the courthouse, Vanessa stopped them. This isn't over, she said. Yes, Marcus replied. It is. You made your choice 5 years ago. You chose money and comfort over your children. That was your right. But you don't get to come back now. They're my daughters. No. They're my daughters. Marcus's voice was firm but not angry. I was there when they were sick. When they had nightmares. When they learned to ride bikes. When they needed someone. Where were you? Vanessa had no answer. If you really care about them, Marcus continued more gently, If this isn't just about winning, write them letters. Tell them about yourself. Let them decide if they want to know you. But don't force this. He walked away. Elena following. You did it, Elena said. You protected them. We did it, Marcus corrected. I couldn't have done this without you. 1 year after the reunion, Marcus stood in a small chapel. 3 blonde flower girls who couldn't stop giggling. Daddy, you look so handsome, Grace said for the 10th time. Are you nervous? Faith asked. A little, Marcus admitted. Don't be, Hope said seriously. Elena loves you. We all love you. This is happy. The ceremony was small. Close friends. Marcus's mother. A few colleagues. When Elena walked down the aisle, Marcus felt tears slip down his face. She was beautiful. But more than that, she was here. She'd stayed. Through custody battles and financial stress and all the messiness of his life, she'd stayed. We are gathered here today, the officiant began. Marcus barely heard the words. He was looking at Elena. At 3 daughters in matching dresses. At the family they'd built from a moment of humiliation and a brave act of kindness. When it came time for vows, Marcus had written his own. Elena, a year ago, you saved me. In a moment when I felt small and worthless, you reminded me that worth isn't measured in dollars. You've loved my daughters like they're your own. You've shown up every day. He paused. I promise to love you fiercely. To support your dreams. To be your partner in all things. And to never let you forget how incredible you are. Elena was crying. Marcus, 18 years ago, I fell for a boy who wrote about love with such beauty I never forgot it. Now I get to marry the man he became. She took his hands. You're the kindest person I know. The best father. You give everything and ask for nothing. I promise to stand beside you. To love your daughters as my own. To build a life that's rich in all the ways that matter. I promise to stay. Always. By the power vested in me, I now pronounce you husband and wife. 3 blonde girls cheered before he could finish. At the reception, Marcus's former students gave speeches. Talked about how he believed in them. Changed their lives. Grace, Faith, and Hope gave a speech together. Daddy was sad after our first mommy left. Grace read from carefully written notes. But then Elena came. And she made him happy again. Faith added. And she makes us happy too. Hope finished. So today we're not just getting a new mom. We're making our family official. And that's the best thing ever. There wasn't a dry eye in the room. 3 months after the wedding, Marcus came home to find Elena at the kitchen table. Strange expression on her face. What's wrong? He asked immediately. Nothing's wrong. She pulled out her phone. Showed him a real estate listing. A house. 4 bedrooms. A yard. Good school district. Not a mansion. But comfortable. Stable. Real. Elena, I can't afford. I can. And before you argue, let me explain. She took his hand. My company is doing really well. I have more than enough for a down payment. The mortgage would be manageable with both our incomes. I can't let you. You're not letting me. We're partners. Spouses. Her voice was firm. What's mine is yours. What's yours is mine. Let me do this. Let me give us a home. Marcus looked at the listing. A house that looked like a dream. Okay, he said. Yes. Let's look at it. They moved in 2 months later. The girls ran through the empty rooms screaming with joy. Picking bedrooms. Planning decorations. Marcus stood in the backyard, his backyard, and felt something he hadn't felt in years. Security. Stability. The feeling that maybe everything was going to be okay. Elena found him there. Wrapped her arms around him from behind. Happy? She asked. Terrified, Marcus admitted. This feels too good. Like it's going to disappear. It's not disappearing. This is real. This is ours. She turned him to face her. Stop waiting for it to be taken away. I don't know how to believe it. Then believe this. Elena's voice was fierce. I love you. I'm not leaving. I chose this life. I choose it every day. Stop waiting for me to realize I made a mistake. I didn't make a mistake. I found my family. 2 years after Elena stepped in at the reunion, Marcus received an envelope from Vanessa. Inside was a letter and a check for $50,000. Marcus, I won't ask forgiveness. I don't deserve it. But I owe you an apology. At the reunion, I tried to humiliate you. I wanted everyone to see I'd won by leaving you. But watching you with Elena over the past 2 years, I realized I didn't win anything. I lost everything. I lost 3 daughters who will never know me. Who have a mother now, Elena, who loves them the way I never could. The enclosed check is 5 years of child support I never paid. It's not enough. It will never be enough. I'm not asking for a relationship with the girls. I've realized that ship has sailed. But I wanted you to know, you were right about everything. Be happy, Marcus. You deserve it. Vanessa. Marcus showed the letter to Elena. What are you going to do? She asked. Cash the check. Put it in the girls' college fund. And move on. You're not angry? I was. For a long time. Marcus looked at his life. Daughters doing homework. Wife making dinner. The home they'd built. Now I'm just grateful. She left. And that made room for you. Elena kissed him. Best thing she ever did for all of us. 5 years after the reunion, Marcus stood at the front of an auditorium. District Teacher of the Year Award. In the front row, Elena. Grace, Faith, Hope. 13 years old now. Still blonde. Still beautiful. Still the best thing that ever happened to him. This award belongs to more than just me, Marcus said in his acceptance speech. It belongs to every student who trusted me with their stories. Every parent who believed I could help their children. And most of all, to my family. He looked at Elena. At his daughters. 5 years ago, I was debating whether to go to my reunion. I was embarrassed about my life. About what I didn't have. He paused. That night, someone tried to humiliate me. To make me feel small. But someone else saw me. Saw who I really was. Saw past the old car and worn clothes to the person underneath. He smiled at Elena. And she chose me anyway. She chose my daughters. She chose our chaotic, imperfect, beautiful life. Elena was crying. The girls were crying. So this award is really for her. For the woman who taught me that worth isn't measured in dollars. That family isn't about biology. That the richest life is one filled with love. He held up the plaque. Thank you. But the real prize is sitting in the front row. The applause was thunderous. Later, in the parking lot, Hope asked, Daddy, do you ever think about that night? The reunion? Sometimes, Marcus admitted. Are you glad it happened? Even though it was bad? Marcus looked at Elena. At his daughters. At the life they built from one terrible, humiliating, perfect night. Yes. I'm glad. Because sometimes the worst moments lead to the best things. He paused. That night, I was embarrassed about what I didn't have. Now I'm grateful for what I do have. You 3. Elena. This life. I wouldn't change any of it. Even the bad parts? Grace asked. Especially the bad parts. They led me here. They walked to their car, reliable, safe, comfortable. They drove home to their house, filled with laughter and love and chaos. Marcus thought about the man he'd been 5 years ago. Standing in a parking lot. Ashamed of his life. Certain he wasn't enough. He'd been wrong. He'd always been enough. He just needed someone brave enough to see it.